So welcome everyone. And today, this week, actually this week's theme is beauty. And it's funny because Monday after class, I had to go up to a friend. I have a friend who's quite ill and has been having all these different procedures. So I went up to spend the night on Monday night in case the procedure had some side effects. And I went for a hike before I showed up at her house. And I had this theme of beauty running in my head and classes. And so I was like, I'm going in search of beauty. And it was kind of a dull day here, like just gray. And the woods all looked the same pretty much. And I kept looking and looking. And, I realized my tendency when I think of beauty is to think of something extraordinary, something really grand. I wanted to see, there was no bright sky and there was no shining snow on the ground. There was no leaves changing. And it was just this really kind of ordinary day. So I want to read something from John O'Donohue's book, the book that I used for the quotes. When we hear the word beauty, we inevitably think that beauty belongs in a special elite realm where only the extraordinary dwells. Yet without realizing it, each day, each one of us is visited by beauty. When you actually listen to people, it is surprising how often beauty is mentioned. A world without beauty would be unbearable. Indeed, the subtle touches of beauty are what enable many people to survive. Yet beauty is so quietly woven through our ordinary days that we hardly notice it. Everywhere there is tenderness, care, and kindness, there is beauty. So today's a simple practice, and there will be nothing extraordinary, I don't think, and we'll celebrate the ordinary beauty, the subtle beauty of our bodies and our breath. And so I invite you the very first thing here is just to sit quietly or lie down if you feel particularly fatigued. And you can invite a steady breath, an even breath. And see how that just feels to just a little bit of pranayama, breath control, with an even breath, 1-to-1 ratio. And if you wanted to attach a mantra to your breath, it's a little something. You could say something like on the inhale, beauty, and on the exhale, is. Or anything else you might choose. Notice how it is for you this morning in your body. And then we can manipulate the breath a little bit. So if you are feeling like you want a little bit more energy, extend the inhale twice the length of the exhale. If you're feeling at all agitated and you'd like to relax, even if you just got up, you might have gotten up and feel agitated, extend the exhale twice as long as the inhale. And as we continue to practice today, just you could use your breath as an anchor. We've done this several times in the past months, but use your breath as an anchor and as an anchor of beauty. I mean, it is really an incredible, beautiful thing that happens, right, for us. We wake up, oh, we're still breathing. But allow the breath to contain your movement. And if there are moments that you notice some beauty in your movement, in your body, can you just kind of make a little mental notation, say, ah, there it is, there's beauty. So we'll come to our backs. And then just bring your knees into your chest here, Apanasana, and softly rock back and forth. And your rhythm, your breathing, your pattern might be quite different than mine. That's fine. And then release your hands and just let yourself roll to one side. Everything rolls to one side, knees together, hands together. Inhale, come up and roll to the other side. And just this little pattern, kind of a big movement. Letting your breath inform and hold the form for your movement. Next time the knees go to the left, bring the right arm out, come into a big twist. Take a couple of breaths here. We'll do some holding today, just allowing for our orientation of that really subtle beauty, that stillness. Inhale, knees back up and over to the right. Keep the arms in the T position. So on my walk the other day, I had to just stop myself and say, well, wow, there's beauty in the silence here. There's beauty in my footsteps. Inhale back to center. And now you're going to take your right knee towards your chest with your hands and your left leg long. And then just flip that. So left knee into the chest, right leg long. Just back and forth a few times. It doesn't matter which is the inhale and which is the exhale. Just find a pattern. And then we'll take both feet to the floor, hands behind your head. And now bring your right knee into your chest and your left leg long and lift just slightly off the floor, head and chest. So that's going to be the inhale. And on the exhale, bring everything together like you're rolling yourself into a little ball. So elbows can come towards one another and towards your knees. Bring your knees into your elbows. And then inhale, the right leg long, left knee stays into your chest and head and shoulders off the floor slightly. And exhale, squeeze everything in. That's the pattern. Inhale, left leg long, right knee into the chest, elbows wide, but your core is engaged slightly. And then exhale, squeeze everything in. Inhale, right leg long, lower slightly to the floor. Exhale, squeeze everything in. All right, 2 more times on each side. And then release your feet to the floor, release your arms out to the T, and just take knees together and rest for 2 breaths. And again, you can manipulate your breath. You can practice a little pranayama. If you want to feel a little more energized, just lengthen the inhale. If you want to feel a little more relaxed, lengthen the exhale. Great. Now stretch your legs long. Take your heels to the floor, toes pointing up. Great. And then we're going to lift the right leg and externally rotate. So we'll turn our hips a little bit to the right. The left leg stays pretty neutral, maybe a little internal rotation. And then take the right leg back, heel to the floor, externally rotate the left leg. And you could take it any amount out to the side. The right leg internally rotates slightly. And then left leg back to the floor. Lift your right leg, externally rotate, take it out to the side. So there'll be a little arch in your low back, a little lift of the left hip and turning towards the right. And then set your right foot down. Lift your left leg, externally rotate and reach the leg away. Right leg internally rotates slightly. A couple more on each side. And then when you come back to center the last time, just bring the feet together in Tadasana, toes back towards shins, reach your arms up and away and just feel the length of your spine. Feel all the way from the base of your skull all the way down through the sacrum. Just feel the length, the beauty of that length. Release your arms down to your sides, and you can roll over to one side or cross at your ankles. If you cross at the ankles, sometimes it's nice to just put your hands palm down right underneath your hips, and that'll help you rock up to a seat. Great. And then let's just come to a nice, easy seat, Sukhasana, and just begin to move through your torso, circling through your torso. The sit bone's rather still, rather stable, but you'll be moving around the pelvis, the pelvic floor, right? Take it in the other direction. How is it in your lower spine this morning? And then we'll come back to center and then inhale and reach the arms up and exhale, fold in one direction. It doesn't matter which side. And inhale, reach the arms back up and side bend in the opposite direction. And inhale and exhale. And just keep that little pattern going. And if there's any point in which you want to hold and have a nice long exhale, you could play with that. You can vinyasa the whole time, just move back and forth. We'll do a couple more to each side. Sit bones are firmly planted here. And just come back to center and take hands to thighs, roll shoulders up, down, and back. And now bring your hands to your shoulders. Inhale nice and long through your spine. And exhale, you'll twist in one direction. Inhale back to center and then twist in the opposite direction. Inhale back to center and twist. First direction. Inhale. Exhale, twist in the opposite direction. And that's the little vinyasa. Just use the breath as container. And see if you can just stay in a nice flow, nice symmetrical here. Or if you need to extend one or the other, inhale, exhale, you could do that as well. And then the next time you twist in the first direction, take your hands down, so opposite hand to the outside of that opposite leg, and then a little anchor for your twist. Inhale, spine nice and tall, and exhale, release. One more breath. And as you release, let yourself kind of float back to neutral. Take your hands back to your shoulders and spin in the opposite direction. Release your hands and anchor the twist. 2 full breaths here. And as you exhale, you float back to center. And now hands to the knees, and allow yourself to just sort of slump back into your spine. Inhale, draw your chest forward. And keep the chin relatively level to the floor as you exhale. You'll roll back or slump back into your spine. So cat-cow, seated cat-cow. It does help to have the eyes closed for some of this more subtle work, right? Just looking inside. And again, you could even continue with the mantra. And on the inhale, you could use the word beauty. On the exhale, is. On the inhale, I. On the exhale, am. And coming back to neutral now. Let's take our hands behind our back and feet a little wider than hip distance apart. And we'll drop our knees to the left, draw the left sit bone back. Inhale, knees to center. Exhale, drop knees to the right, right sit bone back. Inhale, exhale. As you drop your knees to one side, draw that same sit bone back. That'll keep you from scooching forward. And just how is it in the hips this morning? And then once you've done an even number, walk yourself back up and let's stack. Sorry, I didn't mention props, but if you have a block, that would be handy. I'm gonna grab mine. We'll stack our right shin over our left shin, so in a fire, and you might have to have a block underneath your top knee. Okay, so as much as possible, we've got kind of a squared up situation here. The legs are parallel to one another. And you could put anything underneath that top knee to make it a little bit more comfortable. But maybe your top knee can sort of reach down towards the bottom foot, sitting up nice and tall. This might be the extent of your movement, but you might be able to fold forward slightly. And just take a couple of rounds of breath here. And the invitation when we have something maybe a little more challenging is, can we find something beautiful in this more challenging shape, action in our body? And as you walk yourself back up, you'll switch. You might find that this side is a little more open or not. And that's normal, of course. So just be with that. Take a couple rounds of breath as you sink into this shape. Allow the breath to help deepen the awareness. Without any judgment, because we don't judge beauty, do we? We really don't. When we're called to beauty, we don't judge. We just have this sense of wonder about it. Good. So now uncross the legs and just bring your legs out to straight, and you can shake your legs out a bit, and we'll meet in table. We'll meet in table. And in table, you could take a few rounds of cat-cow. And then we'll drop our hips back towards our heels and hover. So kind of puppy pose. Walk your hands a little forward. Engage through the fingertips and draw your humerus, your upper arm bone, back into the shoulder socket. And then can you swing and sway your hips back and forth, right to left? And when I go in one direction, I feel a little bit of stretch in the opposite underarm. And then let your hands slide a little bit back towards you. Turn your toes under and press your hips up and back, downward facing dog. And pedal through your legs. Find a good, comfortable downward facing dog. Let's come up onto our toes and take our heels to the right and let the right hip sink over to the right. So you feel a big opening through the left side body. And then inhale, come back up onto your toes. Maybe have to get yourself square again and let your heels drop to the left, hip to the left. And feel a big opening in under the right armpit, outside of the right shoulder. Inhale back to center. And come up onto your toes, bend your knees, and just hover here above the ground. And as you press and straighten the legs, press the front of the thigh through the back of the thigh. Roll triceps down to the floor. And then inhale to walk your hands up to, or your feet up to your hands. Hopefully you grabbed your block and come into a halfway lift. And exhale, fold. And then with hands on hips, slowly come up to standing. And Tadasana. And just let your arms be relaxed at your side here in this Tadasana. Palms forward. Close your eyes for just a few breaths. And then we'll bend the knees, come up onto our toes, and bring our hands forward. So sort of an upright Utkatasana chair. Good. On the exhale, we're going to keep the heels lifted as high as possible and squat a little deeper, bring our arms beside our ears. And then inhale to press back up a little higher in the body and arms straight out. And exhale, sink. And inhale, press up. So you're remaining in chair, but you're going for deep chair, deep fierce pose on the exhale. And inhale, you'll come up a little higher and reach the arms out in front. And the whole time, see if you can keep your heels lifted. Let's do 2 more, or 20 more if you'd like 20 more. And then the next time you're in that deep squat, hold that. Bring your hands to the floor, hips shoot up. Forward fold, let your head go. Any amount of bend in the knees is just fine, or if you have your block. And then with your hands on your hips, hinge up, come back up, take your time, come into Tadasana. And if you're at the front of your mat, you can put your weight into your right foot and step your left foot back. Inhale the arms, coming into Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. And then come a little bit deeper into the front leg. Keep the back leg lifted. Draw your low ribs in. On your exhale, you'll bring your hands behind you to interlace at your sacrum and bow forward. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, interlace your hands and bow forward. Inhale, sweep your arms up. Exhale, just hold this. Inhale the fingertips up towards the ceiling, and exhale, hands down around the front foot. Step both feet together behind in downward facing dog. Come up onto your toes in downward facing dog and drop your heels to the right. Hip goes over to the right. Feel an opening through your left side body. Inhale back up onto your toes. Drop heels to the left, hip to the left. Feel an opening in the right side body. And inhale back to center. And then walk your hands back towards your feet. Forward fold. Grab your block if you need it. Inhale to halfway lift. And exhale to fold. Hands to your hips. Press yourself up. Tadasana. Now you're at the back of your mat. Step forward with the left foot and come into Virabhadrasana on this side. 1 on this side. So lift the back leg. Bend through the front knee. So your hips might not be square to the front of the mat, probably not, but your shoulders can be. Inhale here, exhale, take your hands to your low back and bow, any amount. Inhale, sweep your arms back up. And exhale, clasp your hands at your low back and bow like a humble warrior. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, clasp your hands and bow. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Come into a few rounds of breath here in this strong warrior one. So draw the low ribs in, tailbone reaching down towards the back heel. And then inhale, reach your ring finger towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands down around the front foot. Step forward, both feet together in forward fold. Any amount of bend in your knees is fine. And then come into a halfway lift. And exhale, fold. Pressing into your feet, you can take your hands to your hips. Come up to standing. And Tadasana, release the arms. Gaze is straight ahead. Close the eyes if that feels okay. And stack the back of your head over the back of your tailbone, of the sacrum. Back of the head over sacrum, tailbone. Inhale, as you sweep your arms up, sit down into a kind of an upright Utkatasana, chair pose. And then draw your hips back, reach your arms forward, and take a twist in one direction. Inhale, sweep the arms back in front of you, and exhale, twist in the opposite direction. So you can bring your hand across the outside of the opposite leg, and you can have your other hand on your hip. Allow the hips to turn here. Inhale back, Utkatasana, and your release will be a forward fold. Inhale to halfway lift. Exhale to fold. Take your hands to the floor. Step back to downward facing dog. Now just let the hips sway back and forth a few times. Coming back to center. Let's inhale the right leg out behind, bending the right knee. Draw your left hip underneath as you stack your right hip over your left hip. And then on your next inhale, come forward. So turn your hips, square them to the ground, and then come forward on your exhale, knee towards nose. And then inhale, press the leg back out. You're going to keep that knee bent and stack again. Right hip over left hip. So draw the left hip underneath you. And then exhale, you'll bring the knee towards the nose. Take your time. You'll do that a few times. Feeling into your hip. And then the last time that you stack right hip over left hip, invitation to sort of bend the left leg and bring the right foot behind you and open up into what we sometimes call wild dog, crazy dog. Right hand comes back to the floor And you flip yourself back over. Let's come to downward facing dog. And on your next inhale, walk your feet up to your hands. Halfway lift. And exhale, fold. And on your inhale, sink your hips and reach your arms out in front. Utkatasana. And this time, you're going to come out of this standing up. So we're going to go to Urdhva Hastasana. So press through your feet and lift your arms up overhead. And exhale. Ooh, a little dizzy there for me. Hands through heart center. Release your arms to your side. Tadasana. Take a couple rounds of breath. Inhale, arms up overhead. Exhale, fold. Come to the floor with your hands. Step back, downward facing dog. Let the hips move back and forth, swing back and forth. And then inhale, the left leg comes out. You draw the right hip underneath, bend the left knee, and stack the left hip over the right hip. Now, can you keep an even weight in your hands? So now, as you come forward, you swivel the hips around to square and draw your left knee in towards your nose. And as you inhale, you come back, straighten, draw the right hip under, and stack again. Take a couple rounds just like that. And then this last time you have your left hip stacked over your right, the invitation for the crazy dog, whatever it's called, is you bend your right knee a bit, and then the left foot comes behind you, and you're reaching up with the left hand. So, wild thing, I think it's sometimes called. Flip your dog. And then you can bring your left hand back to center, bring your hips back around, downward facing dog. Inhale to your knees and cow. And exhale, drop your hips back, child's pose. Reach your hands forward. Come into a full supported on your knees child's pose and really feel like your back is just melting open. See if you can steady your breath here. Next inhale, press back up to cow. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale to walk your feet up towards your hands, halfway lift. Back of the neck is long. And exhale, fold. Look at your feet. Can you lift the arches of your feet without tipping the feet to just to the outside edge, but lift the arches. So the whole metatarsal arch, the front right behind your toes, that's all pressing into the floor. But that arch, that longitudinal arch, can you lift that arch? And then hands to hips, come on up. Tadasana. Great. Okay, we'll open up to the long edge of the mat now. So nice wide stance, long edge of the mat, and we'll just begin. It's helpful. We're going to sway back and forth, and it's helpful to bend your knees here as you do this so you don't get any weird pain in your knees. And you can start with your arms anywhere, but see if you can change the position. So maybe you're picking apples, picking berries, picking strawberries, and you can just keep moving with that. You can get a nice flow in your body. And then we'll slow it down. Bend the left knee, bring the right hand to the left knee. I'm sorry, the right hand to the left foot. If it doesn't quite make it, you could have it inside that foot. And some of you might even have it outside the foot, but I'm going to just kind of tack my right hand to my left foot. Bring my left hand to my hip, and then slowly extend my left leg to as straight as possible. Mm-hmm. And then to come out, I'm going to bend the left knee again and bring both hands down to right underneath my face. Squeeze my legs. Let my head relax. And then bend your right knee and bring your left hand over to your right foot, or beyond or inside. Right hand to your hip. And if this is your stretch, good. But if maybe you can extend the right leg towards straight. Take a couple of breaths here. Finding the beauty in sometimes the more challenging positions. And then to come out, we'll bend the right knee again and walk our hands back underneath. If you have your block handy and you need want your hands on your block, that's fine too. And some of you might feel open enough to go right to your forehead on the block or the floor in a little bit of an inversion. Squeeze the legs, really keep the legs engaged here. Legs engaged and strong. And if you have your head on the floor, on the block, just pop up just so we can move again. So bend your left knee again, pretty deeply. Walk your right hand over to your left foot. Left hand on your hip. And then straighten any amount of the left leg. And then can you stack? What might it feel like to stack the left shoulder over the right shoulder? Coming a little deeper into this twist. Keep the back of your neck long and let your breath support you. Bend through your left knee, both hands down. Walk through center, take a pause in center here. Bend through the right knee and bring your left hand to the top of your right foot, right hand to your hip. Straightening any amount through the right leg, and then what might it feel like to stack the right shoulder on the left shoulder? Opening the twist. Let your breath support you. Let it be the container. And then as you bend the right knee again, you can walk your hands back to center, right underneath you. So this is an inversion. This will get your juices going here. If you can get your head all the way to the floor or to a block, this is an inversion. If you practice headstand regularly, this could be a place where you take a headstand. But you do get the same benefit with your head down below your heart here. If you just have your head on the block or the floor, it's still get the benefit of an inversion, because this is an inversion. Okay, if you're in a headstand, you could come out of the headstand, same way you went in. If you've got your head on the block, you can simply bring your hands beside the block and move it out to the side, and then walk your hands forward so that your upper body is in a downward facing dog shape and the lower body, the feet are wide. Squeeze your legs, squeeze your legs. Wrap your triceps down towards the floor. And then walk yourself back, walk your hands back, heel toe your feet towards one another so that you can drop yourself in a big squat. Big squat. Here you could be sitting on the block, block right underneath the sit bones, or you could be just allowing your bum to be heavy, almost touching the floor, knees wide. Squeeze your knees into your arms and your arms back into your knees. And then come all the way to the floor. And as you come to the floor, find some hip balance. So it could just be knees into the chest, towards the chest, legs bent. You could have peace fingers around your big toes and come into an inverted V here, a V here, balancing on your sit bones. Working the beauty of symmetry. Balance is so much about, right, the symmetry in something, and just the right amount of effort here and just the right amount of effort here. Good. And then from here, we'll bring our feet together in Baddha Konasana, and let it be sort of a loose Baddha Konasana, so almost like a diamond shape right in front of your body. Yeah. And kind of move back and forth, one sit bone to the other. And breathe nice and tall. Folding forward ever so gently. Pressing back open. Let's bring the right foot into opposite leg, right there at the inside of your left thigh, and reach your left thigh long. Now we did this the other day. If you need to have a block on the inside of your left leg, that will support this posture. So bring the arms out to T, externally rotate the left arm, so palm facing up towards the ceiling, and then reach your forearm, lay it on the block or on the floor, right hand to your right hip in Janushirshasana. And this might be the posture that challenges you and asks you to find the beauty in it. This is quite a hard posture for me, actually. So letting my hips relax, sink down as much as possible. Find the anchoring of the earth. And then I can press myself back up. And then let's just turn to that leg. Let's turn to the left leg, taking fingertips on either side of the thigh, and then take a fold here. Press into your right shin. Press into your left heel. And we'll come back up and swing the left leg around. Bring both feet together, Baddha Konasana. Take a little fold. And then left leg stays bent, right leg is long. Set up your block if you want it. Sit up nice and tall. Arms out to a T. Externally rotate the right arm and then set that forearm down on the block or beside your leg on the floor and left hand to your hip. You could also reach the left arm up and over. This is sort of has some complicated actions in it. It's twist and a side bend, and yes. Press yourself into the floor. Really feel the support of the floor. And let the breath be your container. And even in stillness, there's movement. Press up slowly, and then turn slowly and take both hands to the side, to the either side of that extended leg and fold here. Press into your left shin, press it into the floor, press your right heel into the floor. See if you can keep a nice long spine, lengthen the spine. One more breath. And then press yourself back up and sweep the right foot to the left foot one more time in Baddha Konasana. And then we're going to come back to the floor, back to our backs. And a little sequence here with a figure 4. So take your right ankle onto your left knee and bring your knees in towards your chest. So we're not going to go for the full thing just yet. We're going to drop our knees over to the right. Feel a little bit of a twist here. So the right ankle still on the left knee. And then inhale back to center and squeeze knees in. And then drop our knees over to the left. Right sole of the right foot comes to the floor and you scooch your left leg out of the way and see if you can let your right hip drape open. And then start to draw your left knee up towards you as you bring everything back up to center. Now take your right hand in the space and either take the back of your left hamstring or the front of your left shin. Let's put a little brightness in the feet and draw your knees in towards your chest and see if you can let your hips really reach down towards the floor. So you're not completely rounded in your back. Okay, and then from here, slip that right arm out, take the outside of your right foot and bring your right knee, your right leg into happy baby. Left foot comes just to the floor. So it's a half a happy baby. It's a somewhat happy baby. right? Ah, there it is. And you could play around with even maybe straightening that leg out to the side a bit and back to the happy baby position, knee bent towards the armpit. Good. Then we'll set the right foot down. So now both feet are on the floor. Do a couple of pelvic tilts, just getting some centering, some symmetry back. And then left ankle on right knee. Bring your knees in towards your chest. And then drop your knees over to the right and feel that little twist, the left ankles on top of the right leg, kind of encouraging a little more length in the thigh. Come back up to center, drop knees over to the right. Left sole of the left foot comes to the floor and you scooch the right leg out of the way. And you feel for a draping, an opening of the left hip. And it might not feel like a lot, but intention is powerful. And then you bring the whole business up to center. And now you can take the left hand in the space, taking the back of your right thigh, the front of your right shin, and drawing your knees in towards your chest without over rounding in the back. So keep the spine long if possible. Oh, and let your hips, it's like on each exhale, maybe your hips can relax a little bit more to the floor. Slip the left hand out, take the outside of the left foot. You're now in a half a happy baby. You're in a somewhat happy baby. Right sole of the right foot can come to the floor. And maybe there's some playing around with straightening the left leg and coming into that half a happy baby, or just holding. And then both soles of both feet on the floor, position of comfort, a couple of cat-cows or pelvic tilts just on the floor here, finding symmetry. You could come right to Shavasana in this position with the knees, feet a little wider, knees in, resting here. Or take your legs long, feet fall out to the sides, arms alongside your body, hands on your belly. Whatever's going to help you connect with this sense of just simple, uncomplicated beauty, the breath, in and out, in and out. Searching your own heart for the tenderness and the kindness and the care that you bring to yourself, and the beauty of that. Can you drop in even deeper? If you'd like to make your way to a seat, you can do that. You could bring your hands to heart center. Beauty was ours in all its brightness. Whole were we who celebrated that festival. Beauty was ours in all its brightness. Whole were we who celebrated that festival. Namaste.